Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. We got a quick buys and sells show for you as you enter into your Week 2 Sunday football viewing. So we're going to try to give you some guys that you should target, some guys that you should send off your team if you have them, and try to get a better player. It is going to be a really interesting show. How you doing, Rick? Rick, are you alive?
I can hear you now. We good.
Oh, okay, all right. I was like, what's going on? Where are you at?
I'm in my darkness retreat like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say it on the last show, but Rick is currently on call at this point because he is down in the hemisphere where I live because of a wedding. So but the internet connection is not functioning properly, so he is on call. If he leaves mid call or something happens, just mute yourself, Rick, and text me.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But anyway, all right, let's get this started. Before we do, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review and share this pod with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and comment down below any trade questions you might have for us. And don't say, who should I trade for? I don't know. You're a league.
Yeah, tell me, who do I trade for? This is my team.
Who do I trade Josh Allen for?
6 points per carry.
I need you to know. I need to upgrade my running back position. I have Josh Allen. I'm going to trade. Who should I ask? Well, I don't know. You think I have a friggin' magic ball to look into your team? No. So take these buys and sells. Maybe it'll help you. All right, we'll start with some buys here. And we'll kick it off with Jahmyr Gibbs of the Detroit Lions.
Yes, sir.
He didn't have a good week this week. There was no two ways about it. Now, he did look explosive. I will say that. There was a lot of, it was kind of similar to when DeAndre freaking Swift, not to bring him into this, but when Swift was with the Lions, and he would have these really explosive plays, and it would be like, this guy's way better than Jamal Williams. This guy's way better than the backup. And they would just never make the move. They would never shift or pivot and give the ball to Swift. Gibbs is in the same boat at this point. So hopefully it changes because this guy was drafted to be the guy. But it will forever astound me that a football team used a top 12 draft selection on a player that they used 9 times. 9 times in the game.
27% snap percentage.
27% of the snaps.
Yeah.
He didn't even get he didn't even get half of the snaps. He got 27%. Not good news. So he had 7 carries, 42 yards, 2 catches, 9 yards. Not a great week. Didn't even get a touchdown. 8 total fantasy points. It makes you kind of concerned. But if you have him, hold him. If you don't have him, reach out to the owner of Jahmyr Gibbs and see if you can get him on the low, because I think at some point in the next 3 to 4 weeks, he probably will hit this show 3 to 4 weeks in a row if he continues to do this, because at some point in the season, the talent will overtake David Montgomery in terms of snap percentage, and they will get at least a 50-50. And when that happens, I mean, Gibbs already has 8 points with 27% of the snaps. Give him 50%. Without a touchdown, he scored 16. So that is very basic, horrible, rudimentary math, but hopefully there's some good things here. But Rick probably has way better reasons because he's the Gibbs owner. He won't trade him to me. I swear. I wasn't even trying to lowball him. And he's still
doesn't matter.
He's like, Gibbs is going to be Alvin Kamara, and I'm going to have 3 superstar running backs. Yeah. That's Rick right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, with Gibbs, we'll start with reason number 1. I could talk about Gibbs forever, but I'll try to make it quick. We talked about before the season started that he was probably going to start off slow, and that he's a rookie running back. They're going to ease him into it. You know how rookies are in the NFL, but especially with running backs, they're going to use the other guy, and they did in week 1. But Gibbs it was only positive takeaways. He had 6 yards per carry in the game. He leads the NFL in broken tackles, and he had 9 touches.
So
he played 27%.
I said, we were talking last night, and I said to Rick, I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, that could mean that the Detroit Lions are terrible. Tackles,
but it's good in the sense that it just shows how ridiculous Gibbs is. And I thought this was an interesting note that I had sent to you that night when it happened. Notable rookie running backs in their week 1 performance in their carries. So Jonathan Taylor has a rookie, his first career game, 9 carries. DeAndre Swift had 3. J.K. Dobbins had 7. Travis Etienne had 4. Kenneth Walker had 4. And then last year, Breece Hall in his first game had 6. So this isn't anything new in terms of rookies getting eased into it. We already have reports. They asked Dan Campbell, are they going to use him more? And he said yes. And as the season goes on, they're going to use him more, but they're even going to report said increased workload is expected in week 2 for Gibbs. So it could start as early as this week. I expect it to start this week. I'm not expecting a workhorse because I don't think you're even going to get that in Gibbs in the first place. But I do expect more than 9 touches starting this week against Seattle. And it's only going to go up from here at this point if you have Gibbs. But you could try to trade for him, and a team just sees the 8 points and they drafted him early, and they're like, if you give them a good enough offer, they'll take it 100%. And I think you could hit gold. Because not only that, but his matchups, he has a pretty easy schedule too as the season goes on. So a lot of positives for Gibbs going forward.
For sure. We just got some breaking news, by the way. I'm not going to sound the bell.
Did we?
Big breaking news. But Austin Eckler listed as doubtful for Sunday.
Good thing you picked up Josh Kelly if you did. And if you didn't, well, you should have.
Yeah, no, I almost put him on my sit list, so that's good. Anyway.
Put Josh Kelly in your set list?
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Well, I'm starting him.
Right. Broncos. Wait, so you have Eckler, right?
Yeah, and I have Kelly, though, too.
We're already collapsing here with those running backs.
Bro, Josh Kelly's a plug and play. Don't worry about it.
All right, let's move on to the next guy. T. Higgins. He didn't do good this week. I'll say that. I guess you could throw if you want an extra tidbit by, which I might actually try to do after the show. Joe Burrow too probably would be. I don't think he's going to throw it for 82 yards again in his career.
Yep,
like this is a low point. So Burrow should be a fine. Burrow should be a fine play this week. I mean, Burrow should be a fine play this week, but I would trade for him. But T. Higgins, 0 for 8. That's bad. That's really bad. Like that would get a lot of players kicked out of the league.
Yeah.
But T. Higgins should be fine. I think the Bengals, for whatever reason, last year and this year, they started slow. I remember week 1 last year, they played Pittsburgh and Joe Burrow threw like 3 picks. And everyone was like, well, Super Bowl hangover, Bengals suck. And then the next week,
they 4 interceptions last year.
Did he throw 4? Holy crap.
Yeah, week 1.
But then they ended up the next week cooking. So I think that the Bengals are going to be fine. I think T. Higgins is going to be fine. And I think there's positives there, obviously. And T. Higgins is still one of the top, receivers in the game. So I think he should bounce back. And he will bounce back. But you want to get him before that happens. So I would reach out to the owner of T. Higgins and see if they would sell him if they're frustrated with his production or whatever. He is kind of an up and down receiver at times, so you might be able to take advantage of some of these situations on a week to week basis. But I would try to buy T. Higgins right now, see what you can get for him, and go from there. Obviously, like if it's equivalent value at this point, I'd probably keep Jalen Waddle, and I'd probably keep Devonta Smith over T. Higgins at this point, just based on what we saw week 1. But if you can package 2 guys together, like if you can package maybe, a DJ Moore or somebody that maybe overperformed week 1 together and see if you can get a good secondary asset and get T. Higgins, that would be good. But anyway, buy T. Higgins.
Yeah, he's definitely a for sure buy. And there's people that are probably really frustrated with him, not just because of week 1, but if they had him maybe last year too, where there was a lot of games where he played really well last year, but then there was moments where he'd have 0. He had 2 games last year with 0 fantasy points.
Yeah.
And he had 3 under 5, or he had 4 games under 5 fantasy points. So this has happened with T. Higgins before. But he's the type of player that he might get 0 points, and then this week against Baltimore he might get 30. So
yeah.
I think once that offense gets going, gets clicking, he's going to bounce back. He will 100% bounce back. And the thing is, nobody in the Bengals played well, but T. Higgins gets the most attention because he had 0 points and he had 8 targets, no catches. But nobody played well. As you said, Joe Burrow threw 83 yards. So nobody on that offense played well. I think Jamar Chase only had like 6 fantasy points in week 1.
Yeah.
Which Jamar Chase, that's like nothing. He had 9 fantasy points, so excuse me. But even so, 9 points for Jamar Chase is very, very bad for him. And then I think Tyler Boyd didn't have a good game either. Tyler Boyd had 3 fantasy points. So like that whole Bengals offense was bad, especially the receivers. So once they get going in the passing game, which they will, because it's the Bengals and it's Joe Burrow, T. Higgins is going to light it up, and
he should Joe got $500 million and said, "Screw it."
Yeah, it's true. Joe Burrow throws 20 interceptions this year.
Yikes, that would be bad.
No, but Burrow, Higgins, and Burrow honestly are great buys.
Yeah, number 3 is DJ Moore. I just mentioned DJ Moore and trading away to get T. Higgins, so that shows you how I feel about T. Higgins. But DJ Moore also had a tough week this week. He had 2 fantasy points. He was on the start show as well. Yep. Here's the thing. Week 1 is a freaking anomaly week most times. A lot of wacky stuff happens, like the Bengals losing to the Cleveland Browns, for example, and having a terrible week. The same thing could be said for the Bears. The Bears were hyped up. They were supposed to be really good. The play calling was not great in this game. The situations really weren't great in this game. A lot of stuff really didn't play out well for the Bears. And so I would imagine that whether it's this week or the next coming weeks, they have to get DJ Moore involved. And they're going to get DJ Moore involved. And at some point, you have to stop treating Justin Fields like he's a rookie quarterback passing-wise, and you have to start letting him throw the ball. We need to stop with these screen passes and dumping things off and getting cute. You have to start throwing down the field. So I think they will, and DJ Moore will be fine when that happens. I believe in Justin Fields. I believe in the Bears offense. I don't think 1 week dictates your entire outcome of the season, because I think there was a lot of hopes for the Bears offense and a lot of hopes for the Bears in general to be a better football team. Hopefully it was not a sign of what's to come, but I think that the Bears are going to be better this week. I think that DJ Moore will probably be better, and at this point, being a DJ Moore owner, knowing how I feel about this situation, I'm uneasy, and you could probably get DJ Moore cheap right now. If you offered something that was good, that was close, they would probably take it.
Yeah, and I think Moore's probably the riskiest guy to me on this list.
Yeah.
But I do think he's still a very good buy. That week 1 was really bad for the Bears. I think they're going to come back this week and really focus on getting him the ball. I think that's going to be a big part of their game plan on offense. So he could have some big weeks. And historically, DJ Moore has always been an inconsistent wide receiver. So that doesn't help. And he matched up against Jair Alexander too this week, I want to say.
Yep.
So I mean, not a great matchup for him, although he's gonna have to play him again. So the Bears are a little concerning for me, but I'm not ready to write that off yet. And I think some people are. Not even some. I think a lot of people are ready to jump ship already with the Bears. So it's a good time to buy DJ Moore. Because you can also sell the targets too. Like he only had 2 targets. I don't know how involved.
You could be like, well, he only had 20% of the snaps. He had 92% of the snaps.
Yeah. But you can kind of sell that he wasn't really involved in the offense, or that the Bears offense sucks. And those things the Bears might end up sucking. We'll see, but we're going to find out very soon.
Okay.
I do think it's too early to write them off, though, and because of that, it's good to buy DJ Moore.
Okay, let's move to the sells quickly and run through them in 6 minutes.
Okay.
We'll try. So sell number 1 is Aaron Jones, and I like Aaron Jones a lot, and if you choose not to sell him, all the power to you. I don't think that it's a bad idea to sell, like to keep Aaron Jones on your team. Like I wouldn't be upset if you didn't sell him. But the big thing for me with Aaron Jones is I think like what you saw on Sunday is like the peak of what the Packers are going to be doing this year. Like they had a really good offensive game. I for whatever reason, I just don't see them playing like that consistently through the whole season. I think they just got hot and things happened. And Aaron Jones, the biggest concern for me that this is the thing that really stood out to me when I was looking at the numbers this week is that A.J. Dillon, even though he was crap and he was sucky, A.J. Dillon had 20? How many carries did he have?
He had 13.
Oh, he had 13. He had 13 carries, 15 yards. But I think the split. Let me just confirm this. I need to make sure I'm not talking about the.
So the problem with that though, and the concern with that is Aaron Jones got hurt, so the split isn't
as bad as you would think it would be. Yeah,
true. I will say with Jones, and I was high on Jones in the offseason. I still like Aaron Jones. I don't necessarily think you should just trade him for nothing, but if you can sell him high, I definitely would. Because I do agree with the Packers offense thing. I think injuries is also – he's a 28-year-old running back who already has a hamstring injury. He's questionable this week. He probably won't play this week. I don't think he will. So, I don't know how throughout the course of the season, if you're okay with him probably missing a couple weeks here and there. When he's out there, I think he'll be fine. He'll be solid, but and I think he'll be pretty good when he's out there. But the injuries are a concern. The age is a concern. Is the offense going to be as good as they were against a bad Bears defense?
Yeah.
Over the course of the season, is Jordan Love going to be as good as he was against the bad Bears defense? A lot of question marks. He's not a guy that you should sell for nothing by any means. And if you, like you said, if you want to hold on to him, great. I would not be opposed to trading him away, or to keeping him, I should say. But if you can get a good offer for him, which you probably can right now, I would definitely be inclined to listen to it.
Yeah. I think the main thing is that I do think that the Packers like A.J. Dillon. They've liked A.J. Dillon for a while. And, yes, there was an injury there, so that did affect the snap percentage. But even if he was there, I would imagine it was probably 55-45. Somewhere in that vicinity. And so, I mean, this is how Aaron Jones has kind of played his whole career at this point, splitting with somebody at least. But he's always been efficient. So I still think he's going to be good. That's the main thing I want to say. But he is an old running back that can have injuries. The same thing I feel about a guy like Joe Mixon. If he has a really good week, it might be good to sell him to a team and not hope that there's an injury. You don't want to hope injuries at all, but sell him to a team, hope that you get a ton, and then, obviously understand that there could be an injury involved in that situation. We've already seen it week one with Aaron Jones getting that hamstring injury. So anyway, let's move to the next guy unless you have any more thoughts on Jones.
No, I think that's it.
Okay, Derrick Henry is number 2 on this list. Same situation with age. Obviously, that's a concern. But the main concern for me is that he went out on Sunday, had 63 yards and 15 carries, did okay. Tajay Spears came in and had some opportunities. He had 3 carries, 27 yards. But the interesting thing that I noticed in the game is that the rookie outsnapped Derrick Henry 54-48. And Derrick Henry, for the first time in a while, had a sub 50% snap share. It's been a long time. So that is an interesting development, and it tells me that unless it's something wonky that was going on in the game and they were just like, oh, we need to get a pass-catching guy out there and they took Derrick Henry out, right? But this shows me that maybe they are trying to keep Derrick Henry healthy and they're limiting his workload a little bit, specifically with his snaps, because he obviously had 3-4 catches, I think, and 15 carries. So he still was at 20. But he had a really good game this week. My thing is that if they're restricting Derrick Henry's workload, that was the one thing buoying him in fantasy football from situations. Obviously, he was really efficient, touchdowns, all that stuff. But, he always had 400-plus opportunities. If he's not getting those 400-plus opportunities and he's not seeing 25 touches a game, he's seeing more 16 or 17. It changes the look of the running back. So it's not necessarily that Derrick Henry's going to be bad, but it's one of those situations where if you sell Derrick Henry now, as if he's still that top tier, top 5, top 6, top 7 running back in fantasy football, and then he ends up being not that, then you get the value back that you wanted without having to deal with the problems that you have. If you love Derrick Henry and you got a Derrick Henry jersey in your closet and a shrine over there and you need him on your team, fine. It doesn't matter to me. But I'm just playing the value game, and I feel like Derrick Henry's value is at the highest point it's going to be pretty much all season.
Yeah. No, I agree on this one 100%. I think a lot of people still view Derrick Henry as the guy, and you absolutely can. Last year he finishes the RB4. I know in our draft, I think he got drafted as like the RB5 or RB6.
Mm-hmm.
So like he's viewed as like that still elite level running back by most people.
For sure.
And for fantasy football, I don't know if he's going to be that this year based on week one, but also based on his age. We had our concerns anyway with that. Being 29 years old at the running back position, he's got a lot of tread on his tires. Still a very, very good player, but it makes sense for them to use him less and try to preserve him a little bit as the season goes on and allow him to get through a full season healthy. And if he does that, I don't think he's not going to get 400 carries, or 400 touches. And that was one of the biggest appeals with Derrick Henry, as you said. So I think, people look at Derrick Henry and they're thinking top 5 running back. And I think at this point in his career, based on how they're going to use him in week one, or based on how they did use him in week one, and based on his age, I think he's closer to the Aaron Jones level of player, where he's like the RB12, RB13 kind of in that range. So I think you could sell him high and get something really, really good for him.
Yeah.
And not that he's going to be bad. Like he had 14 points this week. And then if you throw in a touchdown, he's going to get those 20-point weeks still. And he's going to have some really good weeks. But I just don't know if the consistency is there. And I don't think the high level games are going to be quite the same. Like the weeks where he'd get 40 fantasy points.
Yeah.
I think those days might be over.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do think that there's going to be games where he explodes. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Derrick Henry does those things, but it's definitely one of those situations where you're balancing between at any moment he's not going to lose his job, but at any moment, like they're limiting his work, and at any moment this guy could like get hurt, and he's 100 years old, and efficiency could decrease, and like there's so many.
Are the days of him getting 30 carries a game?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the next guy. It's Mike Evans, and the final guy, Mike Evans, who had a freaking great week this week. He was actually efficient and good, and it gives you hope that he could still be good for fantasy football and all that stuff. He had 10 targets, 6 catches, 66 yards, a touchdown, all with this poop can at quarterback in Baker Mayfield. And there's a lot of benefits to Mike Evans, but here's the big thing. This is a guy I don't necessarily like remainder of the season. Like I could stick with Derrick Henry and Aaron Jones and those guys. Mike Evans, no. He's 30 years old. He's still good, but there's been talks of him possibly being traded. And I look at the situation with Mike Evans, and it's like, this is probably the most efficient he's going to be on the season. I think this is going to be a rough ride for him, and I think that there's going to be situations where he doesn't produce like this. So, like, obviously, I think there's going to be more lean weeks than there are going to be, like, like really good weeks. And you want to trade him off those not lean weeks, like when he does have a good performance, like 18 points. So if you deal that to a team that maybe likes Mike Evans or is living in the past and has all the old players, that's definitely an opportunity for you.
Yeah, 100%. And even if he gets traded, like I don't know if I'll love that either, because it totally will depend on the landing spot, and then he has to get used to the offense as well. Which historically, like if he gets a good landing spot, then yeah, that'll be great. But we just don't know. And if he stays with the Bucs, it's like, yeah, he had 18 points this week, but I don't know how consistent that'll be. Minnesota is not a great defense.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield was pretty efficient. Who knows how long that's going to continue? He could have another good week this week. He's playing Chicago, and then you might be able to wait a week and really sell him then.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that has name value on a team that I think is in decline, despite winning week one, and could be a little better than people think, but are still not a great team. Like a lot of people, including myself, like I had them as like the second worst team in the league. They'll probably be better than that, but I don't think they're going to win more than like 6 or 7 games.
I think, too, one of the stats that I saw earlier this week is that he had 50% of the team's air yards.
Yes. Yep.
And That's a lot.
Mayfield threw 173 yards, and Mike Evans had 66 of them.
Like that's not gonna happen every week. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not gonna happen on a weekly basis. If he held that kind of sustained, like it would be insane, especially when Baker's only like throwing 150 yards, 160 yards, maybe 200 yards in a game. Like obviously there's two guys on that team that can catch the ball, but it's just every time Mike Evans catches a touchdown and has a big week, you kind of have to look at trading him this year, and that's just kind of how it works. You know what I mean? And like I could be.
Or you think Mike Evans is gonna continue his 1,000-yard streak and have a top 15 finish?
Hey, he could do that too. Anyway, any more thoughts on these guys?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, there you go. Buys and sells for week 2. Be sure to get these guys on your roster before they go off in week 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. Keep an eye on them. Try to reach out, get some trades going. Should be interesting. Enjoy week 1, guys. Sayonara.
Week 2, see ya.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.